Hi, my name is Rachel Kraub, and I'm excited to share my story of a lifelong learner with you. The first section of this reflection asks the question, where are you from? And let me tell you, as a college freshman, I think I've been asked this question upwards of 7,000 times in the past few months. However, it's actually a favorite of mine to answer because I have an interesting answer. My home is located about 1,600 miles northeast of Tucson, in the small river town of Wabasha, Minnesota. I love seeing people's reactions after I inform them of this, and I also enjoy hearing what they have to say next. Usually it's something like, Minnesota? Oh wow, it must be so cold up there. Why on earth did you come to U of A? That's so far away. It brings me great joy to capture people's attention like this, but obviously, that is not the only reason I love my hometown. Wabasha means so much to me because it shaped me into the person I am today. Wabasha has a population of about 2,500. There are about 900 students at the K-12 school I attended, and I graduated with a class of 44. Because I was in such a small community and school, I got the opportunity to participate in much more of a variety of activities than the average high schooler. I was captain of the dance team and track team. I did plays and musicals every year with the drama club. I played trombone in the band, and I was on the exec board of Student Council and National Honor Society. I also served as Miss Wabasha for a year, which might contribute to the bias I have towards the place. Now, I get that this probably sounds a little crazy, but that's just what everyone did. Legitimately, all my friends were equally, if not more, involved than me. Now, to some, this might seem like overkill. You could argue that this constant involvement caused me a lot of stress and completely eliminated my free time, and you would be right, but I loved it. Every single moment spent at practices, meetings, or concerts was worth it. Through my athletics, I learned to work hard no matter the outcome and how to be the best possible leader for my teams. Through the arts, I developed confidence and learned how to handle pressure. And through my time in various clubs, I learned how to plan events and how to organize a group of people. Through it all, though, I formed some of the most important connections in my life. At the end of my time in high school, I came to realize that it was less about the activities themselves, but more about the people I was doing them with. And at the end of the day, that's what I want to carry with me through my time here at U of A and through the future. It doesn't really matter that I learned how to dance, how to run hurdles, how to memorize lines, or how to read sheet music. What matters are the valuable lessons that my teammates, castmates, and peers taught me. I hope that in the years to come, I continue to make meaningful connections and learn from the perspectives of the people around me. Now let's talk about where I am now. I've only been at the U of A for a few months, but in those few months, I have learned so much. First and foremost, I've learned a lot academically. Right now, I'm studying physiology and considering a minor in athletic coaching. I think a combination of all of my previous learning experiences led me to choose these fields of study. I knew I wanted a career in the medical field where I could help people, and I will delve into my interest in coaching a little bit more in the next section of the video. It's been so fun to start taking classes that relate to a career that I'm passionate about, and I'm very excited to continue that journey. I've also learned a lot about the world around me. I've come to realize that growing up in Wabasha, I was pretty sheltered. I was privileged to not witness any poverty or crime in my day-to-day life. Here in Tucson, however, it's a much bigger city, so these are common occurrences. At first, it was a little jarring to see so many unhoused people on the streets or hear sirens on a daily basis, but it's been good for me to get outside of my little bubble. Crime and poverty are a part of life, and being exposed to that has taught me that I have the power to make a difference. For example, I got involved with the Rotaract Club here at the university, and that has allowed me to do a lot of volunteering in Tucson. We have volunteered at the Community Food Bank and the Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation and have raised money for Z Mansion. It's been so rewarding to collaborate with a group of like-minded students and have a positive impact on this wonderful city. Finally, I've learned a lot about other people. I knew absolutely zero people when I first arrived on campus, and that was very scary. In Wabasha, I never had to make new friends because I'd gone to school with the same 40 kids since preschool. However, it's been so fun making new connections and hearing about the different lives of everyone I met. Growth in these three areas will help me throughout all stages of my life. I now know that I have the capability to do challenging things in unfamiliar places. Speaking of unfamiliar places, the next section of this reflection asks the question, where do I see myself going? Now, this one is a little bit more difficult to answer than the last, but I feel like I am starting to get a better idea of my future path. Eventually, I want to become a physical therapist. This will involve me finishing my undergrad here at U of A and then getting a doctorate of physical therapy either here or at another university. I intend on specializing my PT career somehow as well. I'm interested in pediatrics, something in the prosthetics field, or working with athletes in some way. I know that getting a doctorate will not be easy, but whenever I think about the prospect of working as a PT someday, I just get so excited. I see TikToks about students in PT school, or I hear stories from people about how going to PT helped change their lives, and it brings me so much joy. To think that I could play such an integral role in helping people every day is such a crazy concept, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to chase that dream. My general goal as a lifelong learner throughout this process is to just keep an open mind. There will be things I learn along my path to becoming a PT that I will not like. There will be classes that I dread going to and concepts that I struggle to understand. However, I want to realize that learning these things is just as important as learning the things I'm passionate about. Keeping an open mind will allow me to become the most well-rounded learner and hopefully the most prepared physical therapist. Outside of my formal academic learning and separate from my career as a physical therapist, I'm also interested in coaching. My high school coaches meant the world to me, and I want nothing more than to be that person for a team of my own athletes someday. However, I have a lot to learn in this area as well. Being a coach takes much more than just knowledge of a sport, and becoming a good one is not something that will happen overnight. This challenge is daunting, but it excites me nonetheless. Wherever I end up after PT school, I will do my best to seek out opportunities to work with local teams and get mentorship from veteran coaches to become the best leader I can be. Overall, as I think about the future, I look forward to the day where I will be both Coach Rachel and Dr. Rachel. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself here because before I can become a physical therapist, before I can even get to physical therapy school, a challenge awaits me. A challenge that strikes fear into the heart of every Frankie Honors Wildcat, the ominous and formidable honors thesis. Ariel moved in not 3 months ago. You guys gotta stop asking me about this. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But it's okay. I realize it's for the best, so I've done some brainstorming, and I think I have some very preliminary ideas about what my honors thesis should look like. Let's start out with my intentions and aspirations. My first aspiration with the project is to form a solid connection with a professor. I realize that this is kind of a cop-out because it's literally a requirement to have a supervising professor, but I'm passionate about building this connection, and I think it will be great for me to have a mentor in this way. My second aspiration is to gain knowledge that will make me stand out in my applications to PT school. Getting into PT school is very competitive. If I can make an honors thesis that is relevant to my field and become super knowledgeable about a specific topic that I'm passionate about, it will help me immensely in both my applications and interviews for different schools. My third and final aspiration is to enjoy the process of creating my thesis. I realize that this thesis is going to be a lot of work, and I will be the first to admit that I am dreading it, but I have to do it. There's no other option. However, I'm not going to get through this massive task if I don't find at least some enjoyment in it. So that being said, I will do everything in my power to create a project that captures my interests and makes me genuinely excited. Next, let's talk about the potential paths to my honors thesis. As of right now, I don't envision my thesis taking the form of traditional research. That kind of thing just doesn't excite me very much, so it would be hard to find motivation in that avenue. That being said, I'm leaning more towards some type of program development or community project. As I mentioned when talking about my future career, I have some interest in both prosthetics and working with athletes. It would be really cool if I could do my thesis based on one or even both of these topics. I don't know exactly what that would entail, but perhaps I could collaborate with a sports team on campus or at a local high school. During my time in high school athletics, a lot of my teammates struggled with injuries, and we didn't always have the best resources or just the knowledge to deal with that or prevent them. So it would be interesting if I could come up with some methods or a program that could help address that issue. This is obviously a very preliminary idea, but hey, at least I have an idea. Next, let's discuss interdisciplinarity and how that will play a role in my thesis. As I create my thesis, it will be important to use skills from all the different perspectives. If I'm collecting data, I will use the natural scientist perspective. If I'm interacting with others and trying to learn about their experiences, I will use the humanist and social scientist perspectives. And finally, when I'm putting together my finished thesis, I will use the artist perspective to make sure it looks nice. So, as I'm going through all my gen ed curriculum, I will try to be mindful of how the information and experiences I gain through those courses can apply to my thesis. Outside of my experiences at UA, I will try to interact with people who could offer some insight into my thesis topics. Just off the top of my head, one of my neighbors back home recently underwent a foot amputation and is starting to use a prosthetic in his day-to-day life. Having a conversation with him about his experience could offer some real-world and more personalized information. I'm sure as my thesis ideas develop further, I will start to find more and more connections that I can utilize in my everyday life that I never even realized existed. And finally, let's talk about some strategies for getting started. I'm going to be real. It's very daunting to think about starting this process. There are going to be many challenges. Finding the right staff member to advise me, locating patients or athletes to work with, even just honing in on what I actually want this project to be. However, I know I have a great support system here at U of A that can help me. If I have any questions, I will consult my honors advisor or some of the older honors students that I have met. I can also talk to my friends or teachers back home to see if they had to complete something similar to this and get their ideas. By the end of this year, I hope to have decided on my topic. Once that is done, I can attend the thesis workshops or info meetings that are sometimes held. In the end, I will break my thesis down into manageable steps and hopefully create something that I am proud of.